give everybody out there listening a very warm White Cat welcome, because you're tuned in to the White Cat Outdoors podcast. Like Frank said, you're tuned in to episode 39 of the White Cat Outdoors podcast. I'm in the studio tonight, Tom. I'm here with my brother, Nick.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
And tonight, also with us, well, not here in the studio, but podcasting right alongside us, we got the Outdoor Drive with hosts Stephen, and Trevor.
How's it going, guys?
How are we?
We're doing real good on our end. So before we get too crazy into the podcast, why don't you guys introduce yourselves and let our listeners know who you are, and we'll go from there, where you guys are from, because I know we're both East Coast boys here, so.
Trev, go ahead and lead it off.
I was going to tell you to lead it off, Steve. What the hell, man?
No, that's all you got.
All right. So they call me Trev, East Coast Trev, to be more specific. I'm from a small town here in Connecticut, up in northern East Coast, a town called Coventry. Little hometown, one light town. That's about it, man.
Yeah, it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
So, I'm Stephen Clark. I'm the co-host of the Outdoor Drive podcast, and currently I am located in Front Royal, Virginia, the canoe capital of Virginia. And I come from out west, born and raised in Arizona, hunted Western hunting my entire life, with exclusion to, I'll say, the last 7 years, being over here where I've pretty much immersed myself in the world of East Coast hunting.
How did you guys meet up, being one from out west and one East Coast?
So you got all night?
Oh yeah, we don't have any timeline on ours, so.
Yeah. So how we ended up meeting up was I originally had a project called East Coast Bow Hunting Podcast,
Okay,
which
I'm familiar with that.
started a couple years ago, and I broke off with a partnership there. And while I was going through that, the other host that was with me was in the process of trying to do on his own thing. So Stephen was actually a guest on the podcast, and at the time I was looking for another co-host to help me out with East Coast. And one thing led to another. Bad things happen. We closed the doors on the East Coast Bow Hunting podcast. We'll just leave it at that.
I know we know a little bit about it, and it's been said on some other podcasts. You feel free to dive into it if you want. We're not censored here, but if you don't feel like you want to, we're not going to push you either.
Yeah, well, he was a scumbag. So
yeah, I mean,
and,
good way to put it.
If you want to know where it is, or you want to hear about it, you can find it on our platforms. But as far as that goes, so we were looking for a co-host for East Coast, and one thing had led to another. We ended up closing the doors, and me and Stephen decided to start up another project, and that's when we started the Outdoor Drive podcast, which a lot of people don't know, but it actually had originated as East Coast Traditions podcast. But with the name blending with the past project was probably not a good idea to kind of mesh the two. We needed complete and utterly separation. So then we had started the Outdoor Drive podcast, and me and Stephen are both hosts of that. And it's an all exclusive outdoor podcast as far as hunting, fishing, hiking, camping. Everything across the board, because we're all diehard bow hunters, but in the full of it, we're big time fishermen also. I mean, Stephen lives on the Shenandoah. I live on the coast of Connecticut. I'm a fisherman by trade, and so we needed to dive a little bit deeper into that, and we all just love to be in the outdoors. So why not have a full outdoor podcast instead of being pigeonholed to one thing over another?
Yeah, see, that's what I loved about you guys when I found your podcast. It's probably been a couple months now. That was what we were doing when we started ours, because I'm really big into hunting. Tom's big into hunting. My brother's big into fishing, but we're all freshwater where we're at. But he's got a boat and he fishes the Great Lakes all the time. And then Frank, he's the one that goes out and hunts out west and in Alaska too. So we just felt like there was more guys out there that
And we're like located one of the best steelhead fishing places in the country, right? Elk Creek, Walnut Creek, like
that was another
doesn't
big
really get
part of
much
it.
better than that.
But we just figured, there's got to be more guys out there like us that, it's not necessarily all they think about is whitetails. There's a certain part of the year where I'm just wanting to kill turkeys or catching bass. So.
Don't even get me started on turkeys.
Uh-oh. Do you share a love-hate relationship with them?
Oh, turkeys
Mostly
come
hate?
spring. No, honestly, whether it's a good season or bad season, turkeys will hands down always be my second favorite hunt, just because of the interaction, getting out there, the running the ridges, the things like that. But me and Trev had a very, in particular, hard, strange opening week down here in Virginia this year. And we had opportunities, but of course, with cameras involved and multiple people involved and things like that, we never could get it to work out in our favor. And we ended up, I'm going to say we busted our ass in a way that I don't think any of us ever had for turkeys, and never connected. But fortunately, Trev was able to go back to Connecticut and carry on and have one hell of a turkey season. And till this day, second to elk hunting, turkey is the go-to.
Yeah, I'd have to second that. When it comes to turkey hunting is like my go-to thing. My number one hunt is turkey hunting.
So
no questions asked. Like,
That'd be what you consider. Obviously, there's a lot that gets you outside, but that's what you. Come on.
Yeah,
give me one second
I
here.
just love it, man. I think more or less, I think turkey hunting is one of those sports that, it's like the duck blind for me, and it's one of those. I just like those camaraderie sports where you're with everybody else. You can get youngsters involved. You can work with one another. You can talk. You can have a good time. The strategies. It's a lot easier, right? So as far as like turkey hunting, as you guys might know, is that you can bring the young ones with you. You can mess around. You can teach them. It's very well and easily guided. So you can. It's so much. You want to get somebody hooked into a sport, you bring them turkey hunting. You bring them duck hunting. If you were to bring somebody deer hunting, they're gonna be like, oh, this is boring. There's not, especially on the East Coast. Like we don't have the deer populations that other people have in the Midwest or out west. So turkey hunting is, I don't know, dude, it just gets you going. Nothing like interacting with them.
I don't know. Do you guys have a mentor program up by you guys for like hunting?
No, I've done my own through a couple of different projects that I've worked on, and also I just took the vice president of the QDMA for our chapter here in Connecticut.
Okay, so like in
they have a mentor.
Yeah, in Pennsylvania, basically like you can start hunting at any age as long as like you have like a mentor and they carry your firearm, and then like when you get to your location where you're hunting, they can hand you over the firearm whenever you shoot the animal or whatever. Like it's turkey, deer, bear, whatever.
Okay.
And then you give the gun back. So I killed my first turkey at 10. That was like my first experience. I killed a little Jake like before I went to school. I was like in like 4th grade, and killed this turkey, and then like had time to still get on the bus. Like it was one of them birds that like flew down and was dead in 20 minutes. So that was like one of my first hunting experiences. Like at 10 years old, killed this bird, and then like was on my way to school. And I was like, I was hooked into hunting from that point on. And for probably 5-6 years, I was like, turkey hunting was by far my favorite. I've slowly transitioned more into, I still turkey hunt every year really hard, but bow hunting has really piqued my interest in the last few years. But I still enjoy turkey hunting a lot.
So here in Connecticut, you can start hunting when you're 12. We don't have a mentor program, but well, it's kind of like a mentor program, I guess. So at 12, you can hunt with an adult, accompanied by an adult until you're 16. Then you can hunt by yourself. So my thing here, and we have junior seasons, so they start a week or 2 weeks before prior to any of the seasons. So my thing here with turkey season is obviously it gets me in the woods a full week ahead of season. So I try to take out as many kids as I possibly can and kind of get them into it. We had one one kid named Josh this year that we had taken out. I did a whole YouTube series on it. And
had a season, man. Let me tell you.
he shot 3 birds this year. He went out with a good buddy of mine, Seth, and he shot one with him. And then I brought him out, and we shot a tom. And then I brought him to a second spot, and we shot 2 toms in one day. And the kid's hooked. I mean, he was just completely lights out, just fired up. And I have every single year brought out kids, and it's just so cool to watch them. I think for me, man, it's just communicating with those birds and getting them to react. This season alone, we killed over 15 birds here in Connecticut behind with me calling for friends, and we hunt all public land, and it's just so much fun to get them fired up. And I guess and how smart they actually are, and like trying to call at them. And then, they come and they just go around you, or just how smart they actually are. It just keeps you going back for more. And it's just so much fun.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, if I killed a bird every time I had one within 80 yards, like I'd have way more birds killed. I mean, like you said, they figure out a way to skirt around you or like chill out just outside of range and head out. I don't know what it is, but
yeah.
That's cool, man. I didn't realize you guys are able to is there you said it was like a program that you're a part of up there that like puts you in contact with these kids?
No, man. I just put it out on Facebook, bro. I just literally go, who wants their kid to go out and shoot a bird? And I
damn,
just try
man,
and
that's
find
awesome.
as many as I can. Yeah, and I just, different people that have been friends with me locally and for a long time. I just put it out there, man, on hunting pages, whatever I can, to just try and get as many kids out as possible. And a lot of times, man, I just like to bring people that kids that probably wouldn't ever have a chance to go and do that. They might grow up pheasant hunting, or they might grow up deer hunting, or they might grow up whatever, and just try and bring them out to try and get them involved with the outdoors.
Yeah, it's cool as hell.
Yeah, and then on the flip side of it, so I don't do as much of the youth engagement, but so being a veteran, I did 8 years in the Army, did 2 tours overseas, one to Afghanistan, one to Iraq, and came home, and hunting was my connection. That's what brought me back to the real world. But growing up hunting out west, it was one of those things that, I didn't need someone to guide me, but I needed a reason to get out there. So I had teamed up with Operation NPOB Outdoors, so No Person Left Behind, and we would guide vets, either wounded or freshly returning. And turkey hunting in itself was probably our number one go-to. We ran the Chase Savage annual turkey hunt, named after Lance Corporal Chase Savage, who lost an arm in Afghanistan. And that was probably one of the biggest contributions I seen to any of our veterans coming home, was that connection to the outdoors and that ability for them to relate that to healing and reintegrating with the real world. So that was more of my mentorship program here.
That's a really cool program that they have. I wish they had stuff like that around here. But I know, like my buddy Joe Grimaldi, we haven't had him on here or anything, but I met him on a coon hunt. We used to run dogs, and a buddy of mine, said, hey, a friend of mine's getting ready to go to the military, wants to get out and do some hunting before he gets, I think he was going off to basic training at the time. So he wanted to go coon hunting with the dogs, and we took him out. I hunted with him one time, and then he left for basic, got deployed, and kind of I met him that one time. That was it. And then 3 years later, the kid reached out to me and was like, "Hey man, I'm home. What are you up to?" And I was just getting ready to go up to New York. We got some property up there from my grandpa, and we were going up there for Memorial Day, doing some turkey hunting. Brought him up there with us, and I think we got a bird that year with him, and that was one of his. That was the first 2 experiences I've had with him, and then after that we've been best friends. So it's cool that we don't have a program to do that kind of stuff like you guys do, but it's cool how the outdoors can bring people together and share a common ground easily.
Oh, absolutely. And my biggest thing is, anybody out there, any of your listeners, if you have friends that are veterans or know veterans and they're having a hard time and you want to do them a favor, do some research, find any local organization or even nationwide like NPLB, Operation Second Chance. Ryan Off the Grid runs a great program. Anything that can help get vets outdoors is probably one of the most beneficial things you can do to help a veteran reintegrate after combat. So put that out there and let everyone know. Do some research, put in some time, and help get these guys outdoors. It's a lifesaver, literally.
That's a good point. We'll definitely have to figure out what's in our area and so we can share it, because I'm sure there's a program, but neither of us are veterans, and I don't know about them, but I'm sure, like you said, they're probably out there, and there's nationwide organizations too.
Oh yeah, there are plenty. And if anyone has questions or wants guidance or recommendations, let them know to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help. And I can put them into some great connections that are nationwide, and they do everything from the West Coast to the East Coast. And I'm happy to do anything for them.
I appreciate that, man. That's big. Trev, I know a lot of the stuff I see on your Instagram has a lot to do with the tuna fishing too. I know we've been mostly talking hunting and stuff, but
Wait, Trev, you tuna fish?
Nope, never been.
yeah, I mean, there was rumor I heard about it.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'll give you a little background, a little bit about me. So I grew up, obviously, fishing. I took at 15, I started working in a bait and tackle shop, and I had been there until I was about 20, 21 years old. I left and I started working for a family business for a little bit, and then just decided that, you know what, it's just not for me, the traveling on the road, not being able to be home. Actually, it was the day before turkey season, and I was in Boston, and I was working up there, and I told my pops, I said, I'm going home for turkey season. He said, no, you're not. And I said, fine, I quit. So ever since then, I came home, and my wife was like, well, you need to find a job. And I said, well, I guess I'm going to work on a fishing boat then. So that's what I started doing, and this is my 7th season on the fishing boats. Different fishing boats, just working with different captains, doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that. From porgy fishing on party head boats, 100 passengers, to 6-pack charters, shark fishing, tuna fishing, commercial fishing up north in Cape Cod for striped bass. And then recently, in the past couple of years, I've gotten into this whole giant tuna fishing. So I got some friends that are kind of into it, so I've had the pleasure of being able to go and do that. So this year was actually, I've probably been 10 times, 12 times with no success at all. And
Bullshit.
it gets kind of crazy. This year finally was able to hook up, and I actually was able to kill. The first one this year was 72.5 inches. It was right around 200 and some odd pounds.
Damn.
And then 2 weeks later, we decided to go back out, and I killed another one, which, what was that, 86 inches? Was, I don't even know.
I never caught the weight. It was just fucking huge.
Dress weight was 455 pounds. That one got shipped off to Japan, and we ended up for $5 a pound.
So I'll be honest with you, I don't really know like what a good price is on tuna.
It's a horrible price.
Oh, really?
It's a horrible fucking price.
Yeah, I know on Wicked Tuna they sell it for like $18 a pound. I don't know.
Oh, don't even get me going. I'm gonna be nice and just not go there. I'll give you a little bit of realization to all that. And what it is ever since like that Wicked Tuna show had come out, obviously it's a spike. It's like when Duck Dynasty came out, right? Everybody
was a duck hunter.
That's right. So it's the same thing with tuna fishing. They've seen it, think you can make all this big money, and they go and they do it. Yes, at one time you were getting $15, $18, $20 a pound. I've seen it. I've heard of it. But now with the market being so flooded and with the whole COVID thing, obviously Japan is shut down. So the demand is not as high. So the prices are down and they're flooding the markets. So what the buyers have now done is they only buy on, say, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, or I think it's, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. So they don't buy on the weekends. So a lot of the weekend guys that are, we'll call them new tuna fishermen, can't sell and flood the market. So that's last year it was $1 a pound, and this year we're looking at $5, $6, $7 a pound per fish. And it's not one of those things that, like, you go and they pull up in the truck, they do a core sample, they check it, and they go, oh, I think you'll get $5 a pound. It doesn't work like that. They come, they pick up the fish, you give them all your paperwork, they leave with your fish. In 2 weeks, you get a check in the mail, and whatever it is what it is. Doesn't matter.
Man,
Whether it's 30 cents a pound or $50 a pound.
So not like the
They just send you a
movies.
check in the mail. No, not even close. And it's the same with commercial striped bass. I did that up there for 2 years, and it's the same shit. They would literally, everyone can be a commercial fisherman, so the market gets flooded and the prices go down. There was times we were getting $3 a pound for striped bass, which goes $22 a pound in the market. So you're making a hard living. At one time, it was worth a lot of money, but now it's so easy for somebody to get a commercial fishing license up there that everybody does it. Everybody does it because they think it's easy, and they just flood the market.
No. So I guess in your experience, like, do you think that this is something that's going to be like short-lived, and then in a few years, like these weekend warriors or whatever are going to die out when they realize it's not as profitable as Discovery Channel made it look?
So, I mean, in the tuna world, everybody, I mean, the excitement of catching those fish, and there's some phenomenal tuna fishermen out there. It's amazing to catch a fish of that caliber. Do I think that they're going to stop doing it? Absolutely not. It's once you're hooked into it, it's no joke. And the thing is this, right? So if you go and you catch a fish and it's 73 inches or better, it has to be sold, no questions asked. You cannot keep that fish. That fish has to go to market, no matter what. It has to get a commercial tag and has to be sold. Anything under 73 is a recreational fish. So they can be kept up to, I think it's 45 on the bluefin. So 45 and up can be kept, which is a medium. And that can be kept. So you can keep, I think you can keep one medium from 45 to 72, and then one or two smalls from 40, so we'll call it 40 inches to 27 inches. But anything over 73 has to go to market. No questions asked. You cannot keep it. You can't do anything. It has to be sold. And if for some reason, like right now with this whole fluctuation and they're only buying on certain days and this, that, and the other thing, if they deny the fish, so if you burn the core, you literally have to call DNR and they come down and they have to either give you a tag or they take the fish.
Now,
so
you're telling me they can. So what are they doing if they take the fish? Like,
normally, I mean, I don't know. I honestly don't know because we've never been in that scenario. But we've heard of them. You have to call them, and then they come down, and there is rumors that they potentially could be taking the fish because you're not allowed to possess it because it's a commercial fish because it's over 73 inches. So my understanding is that they would bring it to like a shelter, or they would bring it to something like that and use it, just like as if they were to catch poachers with over the limit fish, I'd imagine. Because there's a quota, so you could only catch X amount of pounds of fish, and that's their quota for the year. You know what I'm saying? Because you could only kill X amount of fish. So it's a crazy world. Oh, it's insane. I'll tell you, when you start getting federally regulated, it gets nuts. It gets nuts. It's the same with sharks. They get crazy with sharks. Sharks are like, obviously, because there's so many people on the other side against shark fishing, and killing sharks. So it gets kind of crazy, and they regulate them really big. Like mako sharks, for example. We used to have to be able. We could keep fish that was 83 inches or larger. They had just changed it 2 years ago to 83. Now we can keep a male at, I believe, 71, I want to say. I'm horrible with this shit, dude. This is why they have
No, I get it.
rule
There's like
books.
I'm sure you have to almost have a list on your boat to remember everything.
Yeah, I mean, it gets kind of nuts. So, well, they keep changing them is what it is. So, female mako sharks is 83 inches. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't know if you ever caught a mako shark, but when you put one at the side of the boat, the last thing you're trying to do is roll it over to see if it's a male or a female. The thing that it looks like Jaws. I don't know if you've ever seen the teeth of a mako, but you don't want your hands anywhere near it. So it's kind of one of those things, man. They definitely regulate the living daylights out of it. And I get it and I understand it because they found out that these fish are, they hit their sexual maturity at a certain length and they want to produce bigger numbers of those fish. And I totally get it. I mean, it's the same with the striped bass here. We can only keep fish between 28 and 35 inches. And that's because, I don't know if you guys know this fun fact, really cool fact. Striped bass are one of the hermaphrodited fish. So when they get to a certain size, they actually become females and they actually become egg producers. So that's why your fish over 35 inches, actually you're not allowed to keep. So your giant fish, they actually become females and they actually start producing eggs. So it's a pretty cool fun fact.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, I never knew that.
I guess.
Yeah, and it's the same. What's that?
Well, I was just trying to almost relate with like how regulated everything is. Back where we're at, we about 2 years ago got into rattlesnake hunting down here, and it's the same sort of regulations where,
that.
huh?
You can have that.
Dude, it's actually a lot of fun. I mean, you get the adrenaline rush, obviously, but I mean, like in one thing, like one of the regulations, like you can't kill anything with a firearm. So like you have to we catch them with tongs, but the biggest, like what made me think of it is when you said, when you get a mako up to the side of the boat, the last thing you want to do is flip it over and figure it out if it's male or female. That's part of the stipulations with rattlesnake hunting where it has to be a male to keep it. And it's got to be over 42 inches. So when we first started, you're thinking like, okay, so I got to measure this snake to make sure, so I got this snake that's poisonous that probably doesn't want to be in my hands anyway, figure out how long he is and find out if he's a male or female. And so that was the biggest learning curve for us when we started. But it kind of, for me, it just made me think of when you start talking about the makos, the rattlesnakes seemed like kind of the same regulations almost, because they're just trying to keep the populations at a healthy rate, growing. And
Right.
But the mako's not going to kill you when it bites you. It's just going to fuck you up. That's the difference.
So my issue with rattlesnakes, growing up out west, so we used to ranch cattle out on the Kaibab, northern Arizona, southern Utah. And there was one day we were at a catch pen. We had just brought in a herd of cattle, and I'm standing on the fence, and my brother, he comes over to me and just looks at me and says, "Do not move." I went, "What the hell's going on?" And he goes, "Look down." Well, there was at that point, it was a giant rattlesnake, big diamondback, curled up between my legs. And he said, "On the count of 3, I want you to jump to the top row of that fence." I jumped. He put a piece of plywood between me and the snake. The snake came up, hit the plywood going after me. And once I got up there, they hit him with some buckshot, and that was that. And since then, I got no care to do it with that kind of rattlesnake.
yes, we don't have diamondbacks where we're at. We got eastern timber rattlesnakes. They don't get quite as big as the diamondbacks, but a big snake around here is 50 inches is kind of like the benchmark. So
you asked me, a 20-inch snake's good enough.
yeah, they have to be like I said, they had to be 42 to keep them. And we kept one last year. I measured live at 48.5. So once they're dead and you can actually stretch them out, figure out their length, they usually gain 3 to 5 inches. Because I mean, try and grab a snake that's almost 50 inches long and keep them in a straight line to measure them. It's pretty tough. But
Oh yeah.
my question was what? What'd you ask?
I said, how do you kill them?
So there's a few different ways. Some I don't have the balls to do. So, like I said, you aren't allowed to use a firearm.
I don't blame you.
That's the big thing. You can't shoot them with. Actually, you can't kill them with a bow either. Like it's no like projectiles basically. So how we do it is there's two different ways we've done it. You can freeze them, which basically just puts them like into their puts them into like hibernation almost, and then you keep them in the freezer for a week, and that'll kill them. The other way is drowning them, but that takes like 2 hours. But I don't really like doing that because I'd rather make it quick, or like when you freeze them, it's like peaceful for the snake. Like they pretty much just go into hibernation and don't wake up. I just don't like the idea of like dropping them in the water and them like not being able to breathe.
That's like some inhumane shit.
Yeah. So the freezing is like the most humane if you want to keep them intact, because like they're not gonna be in any pain. The other way you can do them, we had a veteran rattlesnake hunter on the podcast a few months back, and what he does is actually like just cuts their head off with a pocket knife, and I don't trust myself to do that one yet either, just because my fingers are way too close to the mouth.
Exactly.
And so I haven't done that. And then there's like a towel whip method where basically you would grab it by the tail and whip it like it was a towel, and it breaks their neck, which is also very humane.
Oh, I've seen that.
It's super humane. It doesn't hurt the snake. It just ends it very quickly. But my thing is like, I can't control where that head goes or anything, and so the freezing method is what we use, just because that works the best. But the permit we have actually allows you to keep them live as a pet as well. So it's laid out. So basically, like your permit allows you to have one rattlesnake in possession, whether it's live or dead, doesn't matter. For us, like when I kept my snake last year, what I did was I kept him in a tank for like 2 weeks. And basically, like, I have like younger cousins and stuff, and I just wanted them to be able to like see a rattlesnake up close, because I mean, who else? Like, it's not something you can see all the time, and I just wanted that experience for them. So I kept it alive for 2 weeks before putting it down, and then I ended up getting it freeze dried. So I had it like wrapped around a buck skull from a deer that I killed a few years prior. It turned out really cool, but.
Yeah, screw that. I'm all set, bro. I'm all set.
That's how I feel about the sharks and stuff. Like me and Tom and my family and stuff, we've caught black tips and stuff, but like never. I mean, like 5-footers was like the biggest we'd ever caught, and we have a small experience with like tuna and marlin, but that's like we're from Erie, Pennsylvania, so like it was like we'd go on vacation down by the beach and get on a boat, like once every few years. But I respect none of the tuna we were catching are like anything that like you got pictures of. It's insane.
I mean, we live here, man. This is what we do every day. I mean, that's what I do for a living. So I'm on the water all the time, and it just is what it is. You know, I guess we kind of not really take it for granted, but you know, it's kind of funny. It's like our friends in the Midwest and stuff, and you'll talk to them, they're like, oh my God, that's so cool, man. You got a giant tuna, or you got a giant shark. And it's like, yeah, you shot a 200-inch whitetail. I'd like to be fucking doing that too, but I just can't. Like, it's just where I am, right? So it's you know, and if you can share that with other people and they get to experience it, man, like, you know, like sharing the rattlesnake with your cousins and stuff, you know. As many people as I can bring out to do that and enjoy it and catch big striped bass and catch, you know, big sharks and tuna and stuff. That's what I'm all about, man. Because I you know, I'm blessed to be able to do that, and I'd like to share it with everybody.
Yeah, you be careful with that, because if my youngest brother, he's 20 and he's real big into fishing around here, but his like end goal is to end up on saltwater fishing. So if he starts bugging you on Instagram or something, I'm not taking any responsibility for that.
Bring it.
I'll tell you right now, Trev's the guy. You want to go? You want to have a good time? Hit up Trev.
Bring it. Bring it.
Yeah, he actually my youngest brother, like I said, he was up in Alaska for 10 days a little while back for the salmon run. So that was his first experience in Alaska and stuff. But the kid just wants to fish all over the place. Like he's like talking New Zealand now because I guess there's really big rainbows out there. But he's just
Get away from don't let him saltwater fish, bud. Don't let him do it. Yep.
That's my mom's like, I
ruin his
don't
life.
think we'll get him back if he hits. Like he's done a little bit of saltwater fishing when we're, on the beach or something. But his end goal, I think, is eventually he wants to like live on the coast and do that for a living.
Yeah, start now. I'll get him a job. When does he want to come? I'm looking for another mate.
He'll be on his way if he was sitting right here. Be like, peace out, guys. I gotta drive. So
Yeah. That's awesome. It's nothing better, man. Saltwater fishing's incredible, and it's. I wish that I had the time to be able to travel around and do the Carolinas and Georgia and Florida and the Keys and that kind of stuff, or the the Gulf of Mexico. But we're just so busy here during that time that and I have a bunch of friends that go to those places in the winter. But I mean, what do we do in the winter?
yeah, we're deer hunting. Yeah.
So,
Season, brother.
I ain't leaving here for that. It's bad enough that I'll leave and I'll have a trip, and this year I'll be me and Stephen will both be in Ohio for Halloween, so we'll be there for a week. So I'm leaving the best time of the rut to go hunt somewhere else.
Me and Tom got our trip planned. We're going upstate New York actually we'll be up there for Halloween through the first week of November.
That's awesome. Whereabouts upstate?
You gonna hit the Adirondacks?
So we're a little south of the Adirondacks, Finger Lakes area.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So I did a little bit of hunting in Ohio last year, but I went in like the end of January, and by
they're
then
late
public
season.
land gets hit like real hard, and we had trouble getting on deer, and we didn't get in early enough for doe tags, and we only saw one buck, and it wasn't anything to shoot over in Ohio for us. I mean, it was like just a little half rack, but I mean it was still cool to be over there. But I don't really have much experience in Ohio. But New York is like, we live like 20 minutes from New York, so we hunt a lot of PA and a lot of New York.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I've got a farm up in the Friendsville area, northern PA on the New York border, and we do quite a bit of hunting up there. And the way we've kind of figured it out is, if we're not there October early season, the pressure increases and it becomes pretty much insubstantial. So you got to get there when it's hot before everyone gets there.
Yeah, and I think that's what we ran into in Ohio is we waited too long to get in there, and it was just overrun by the time we got there in January.
Right. And I fully get that. But that's the thing is you went out there, you did it, you learned, and next time you guys do a hunt out there, you'll probably plan a little different based on the knowledge you have.
Oh
That's all
yeah,
you
and
can go
I
off
think
of.
the sign was there. Like that was what was puzzling at first, but it didn't take us long to realize what the problem was. But the sign was there, so we liked the area, but just I think we were there too late, and it's tough. It was tough. We couldn't find. We were having trouble getting on a food source, late January.
Oh yeah.
We did find like a standing cornfield, probably like acre and a half that was on some public, but it was pretty much all chewed up by the time we got there.
Right. Yeah, and at that point, it's hard to tell once everything falls, everything dies, what was actually left over from, the November, early December time frame. So that sign, it may have looked great, but it may be stagnant. So what you get in and you see and it looks good may not be all that great.
Yeah, that's a good point. So we kind of skipped over it, so we're almost into more of our goals for the season and stuff, but I don't want to get too far ahead. What we like to do, what we call a smoke break, kind of stop the podcast for a minute and go over a food recipe. It started off as like we were only doing smoked recipes, and about 15 weeks in, we realized that we had nothing else to smoke. And then we transitioned into trying to pull our guests to give us a recipe because I've only got so many recipes for like that I can think of off the top of my head. So what was cool is like you start talking to people from, all over the country really, with different recipes that I've never heard of. Like we had a couple weeks ago, we had a guy, I don't know if you guys follow Deers and Beers out of Michigan.
Yeah.
So we had them on a couple weeks ago, and they were talking about these like cheeseburger turnovers that they use with ground venison that I had never heard of, but sound like delicious. So like I said, we do the smoke break every week with if we have a guest, and just like you said, we want to hear a recipe from you guys that some way you guys prepare the game that you're harvesting each year, or whether it's tuna or venison.
So Trev, I'm gonna let you handle this one.
No, you can do one of your own, but I'll start off with one.
Yeah,
All
go
right.
ahead
Oh,
and
we're
lead
gonna
us
get
off.
two. It's like a bonus here.
I'll give you three.
All right.
I'll give
We're
you
in.
two, right?
Okay, so Trev, I'm gonna ask from my end. I want you to go over one, how we do tuna, and two, how we did that shark over salt.
How did you know, bro? How did you know where I was about to go?
I'm not going to
That's
tell you, but
what
there's
I'm all
one
about.
way I will eat tuna, and I'm curious to see if you guys are on doing the same way or if I'm going to have a new way to try it. And I'm not saying in a can. I'll tell you right now, it's not like canned tuna. I know that there's like not even close to the same thing.
We eat that shit raw. We eat that shit raw. What do you mean? you don't cook tuna.
Okay.
No, if you do, so we eat it raw a lot of times. Sashimi, man. We just plate of sashimi. I'm huge with that. A little bit of wasabi, soy sauce. Dip it in. Eat it raw. That's the best way to eat it, in my opinion, when it's fresh. Other than that, I do big steaks. I do blackened with sesame seeds, black sesame seeds, and then you take it and you just sear it 2 minutes each side. Keep it raw in the middle. Thin slice it and eat it that way, man. That's my go-to when it comes to tuna. Simple and easy.
All right. That's the way that we, like anytime we do tuna, is the, like you said, the tuna steaks, and just get like a griddle piping hot and just sear each side. We like to keep the center still cool. Like I still want the center to be a little cold. But I mean, I'd be down to try it raw too, because like if it's not far off, I guess, from searing it.
No, it's just so good. I mean, we eat it right on the boat off the cutting board, bro.
Oh, really?
Like that's oh yeah. Nothing better than that, man. Just eating it as raw as you possibly can.
Just perks of the job,
It's
I
just
guess,
so
right?
good. Yeah, I mean, it's you can sashimi so many different things. I mean, we sashimi black sea bass, ceviches. There's a million and one ways to eat it. You get hungry out there, But like Stephen was talking about, the shark, thresher shark, probably one of my favorites. And the way we had done it when Stephen was up visiting here, I have a pink Himalayan salt rock. And we actually cooked it on that. We did a sesame ginger. What do we do? Teriyaki ginger.
Yeah, very simple.
Teriyaki ginger, a little bit of lime juice, and I marinated in it for 20 minutes, and then I just cooked it on the Himalayan salt rock over the grill. And
let me paint the picture.
Okay, I was going to say, I'm going to need a little bit of
Salt rock.
clarification here.
Yeah, it's I'll just say, for instance, a 12-inch by 18-inch square block that's about 3 inches thick that is just pink Himalayan salt. And then you throw that straight on top of the grill, and then you throw the shark meat on top of the salt. So you cook it, you flip it on top of the salt, flip it over, you're done. And then when you're done, you just rinse the salt block off, ready to go.
Oh, so it's like a reusable thing. You just keep pulling the salt block out each time. You just rinse it off.
Yeah, it's like a griddle. It's a salt griddle is really what it is, man. We cook steaks on it. We cook shrimp. We cook lobster. We cook everything on this. It's amazing.
Now, is this something you guys can like pick up like locally at some like meat market or anything? Like, because I've never even seen that around here.
It was actually given to me as a gift. My aunt had actually bought it for me, but I guess she got it at one of the cooking stores. You can order them online. It's called the Salt Rock. I mean, they have like, I didn't realize it, but it's like a whole different world. This whole Salt Rock cooking. You can actually, there's cookbooks for it. You name it. They cook everything on it, and it's amazing, bro. It's a whole different level of cooking.
So
with
I
this
was
whole
highly
Salt Rock.
impressed.
Yeah, so I understand that, like, to me, like, Himalayan salt seems to be way like milder than sweet or sea salt, if that makes sense. Like, it doesn't seem to like overpower everything. Like, so, like, how, like, I mean, I don't. Is it like saltier? Obviously, like when you're cooking it on the
Nope.
block, like how is it like transferred to it almost?
It's a little bit, man, but it's not like you don't. There's no salt taste to it when it's cooked on it. It's weird.
Okay.
It gives it a little bit of a salty flavor, but it's not what you would expect. Like you would think, like you're obviously thinking salt, and it's just like
Yeah.
overindulged with salt.
It basically, kind of the way it spoke to me when I had it, is the salt block itself will infuse the meat all the way through with a salt flavor without adding the actual salt. I think that's the best way to put it.
Okay.
It's pretty crazy.
No, I'm interested in that now because I've never even.
Yeah, I've never even heard of it.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
put it
like
this
a
way.
most
it was
exotic
so
one we've
good,
had
I
on a smoke
actually-
break.
I really want to do a smoked venison backstrap on one of those this year. I
So you-
really do.
So put the whole block in the smoker.
Yep. Put
And just-
the block in, put the meat on top, and smoke it. I think it would be an absolutely killer combination.
I'm in. I love trying. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
we're like, especially like venison, because like that's our main deal. But I mean, like turkey, goose, like anything.
Oh yeah.
I like trying different ways to eat it because like not that like just steaks get old, but like it's fun to try different ways to prepare it and just see what else is out there. And like that salt block I've never even heard of, so I'm gonna be looking for a salt block. But
Yeah, it's called a pink salt block, man.
Pink
You
salt
can
block,
Probably
alright.
find it anywhere online.
I'm sure,
I wonder-
online's probably the easiest way because like I said, I've never seen one in the stores around here.
No, I don't really know where. I don't think that they would sell it. Oh, so it's called a natural block cooking salt plate Himalayan chef. They're like $25,
Wow.
and they come with. You can get it right on Amazon.
Perfect.
And and you just have to buy the only thing is you have to buy like the rack. The Himalayan, it's 8 inches by 12.5 by 2 inches, and it's a cooking block salt plate, and it comes with a holder shipped to your door for $37.26.
All right, that is
That's
like,
in their fact checking shit.
yeah, I'm digging it. That's for our listeners
So-
right there. If they're ready to order, that's where to go.
Yeah, it's cool, man. It's something different, for $40. I mean, and even I bet you if you search here, I bet you that there's actually a cookbook that you could probably get it with a cookbook somewhere. Oh, there's one right here. It literally comes with the salt plate recipe book and the little thing and everything, so you can order it right there on Amazon.
Hell yeah, man. That's it makes sense. I mean, you see those like high level chefs and stuff that like cook their steaks with just like putting like the full garlic cloves in the pan and stuff and like let it rest on top. So like it sounds like it's probably like the same concept with like it just like Steven said, just like infuses the meat with the salt flavor without just putting a bunch of salt on top of it.
Hell yeah. It's amazing, bro. It makes me want to just hang up from this phone call and go cook on it right now.
Well, problem is
I
now
agree.
you've Steven's got to top that now.
Now, see, so what I have going right now is extremely simple, and it's very, I'm going to say applicable to what's going on in the southern half of the U.S. because I know places like Connecticut and some of them northern Yankee states don't have it.
You mean liberal states?
I'm not saying that you did. we're in the middle of dove season, so our deer seasons haven't opened down here, at least in this part of the central U.S.
You mean
And
flying jalapeno poppers?
flying jalapeno poppers.
That is like all over
You nailed it.
Facebook this year.
So there is nothing better than taking some fresh dove right out of the field, peel the breasts out, bring them out, wrap them in jalapeno, stuff a little bit of cream cheese in there, throw them on the smoker for 2 hours at right about 200 degrees, and then you pull them out, and it is the ultimate jalapeno popper.
That sounds banging.
That is, it's not as elaborate as what Trev has going on, but let me tell you, that Dove jalapeno popper, you can't beat it.
Do you eat the dove hearts too?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so it's our pheasant season and dove season overlaps down here. So like back, my buddy used to have a bird dog, and we'd go pheasant hunting, and a lot of times you're seeing doves too. And what we would do is take the pheasant and do like kind of like a beer can chicken style, and put the breasts and the heart in the tray, and just like as the beer overflowed, kind of like slow cooked it, and that turned out pretty good that way. But jalapeno poppers are more my style.
I'm telling you,
we were big on spicy
you do that
food
on
down
the
here.
Smoker, you can't beat it.
You guys duck hunt too down there?
No, I do not duck hunt, and I've got a really close friend that's big into duck hunting, and he tells me not to get into it.
Yeah, it's more addictive and cost expensive than turkey and deer combined.
Yeah,
Don't
he
even
told me, he's
bother.
like, if you think you're broke from deer hunting, just stay out of duck hunting.
Exactly.
I
Words.
I used to be a huge waterfowl hunter, goose hunter, duck hunter, you name it. That's what I used to do a ton of it. And then I found out what sea duck hunting is.
Okay,
Well,
enlighten
you
me
might
here.
you might as well just sign over your house, because it's a whole new level of broke. Sea duck hunting. So we have here on the coast up here, we have a couple different species. We have scoters, we have eiders, we have scoters, eiders, longtails, which are old squaws, and then we have I'm missing one, bro. I am bad at this. Scoters, eiders.
You're the go-to.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Oh no, so we have scoters, eiders, and longtails. I'm thinking scoters because there's 3 different kinds of scoters. We have commons, we have surf scoters, and we have man, I'm fucking bad at this right now. Why am I drawing a blank? But anyways, so these sea ducks are...
All I can think of is the king eider.
Yeah, but that's a Western thing. That's a West Coast thing. We don't have those here. I wish we had those here. We have harlequins too, but you can't shoot them. But the sea duck hunting, dude, is the shit, man. It's like goose hunting in the middle of the ocean. So you get in these layout boats, man. We put out like 6, 7 dozen decoys in the middle of the ocean. We sit in the boats or we're in the layouts, and we just shoot the shit out of sea ducks in the middle of the ocean.
That's
It
badass.
is the coolest thing you ever done in your life. In the middle of January, freezing your balls off. It is a blast.
So you're
dude.
doing that in Connecticut, like in the middle of January.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah, that's gonna be
Oh,
cool
yeah.
as hell.
It's a blast in the middle of the ocean, by the way. If you didn't know.
Is that where the sea ducks are? No, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
It's cool as hell, and they're fun. They're fun to shoot, man. They are an absolute blast, and they're beautiful. The eiders, the Drake eiders are absolutely gorgeous. Those and the longtails, the old squaws, they got these beautiful long tails on them. They're something else, bro. They're so much fun to shoot, and they decoy so well. They come in and they set right up and they get shot right in the face every time.
That's
miserable.
awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they eat good. I'm assuming
No, they eat horrible.
you wouldn't want them, you know.
No, no, they're absolutely gross. They're disgusting. I'm
It's
not
just
gonna
if
lie
you
to
ever get into it, just send them all my way. I'll dispose of them.
No, you want nothing to do with them. I promise you, bro. You don't want.
It ain't like
Nothing.
shooting a teal or a redhead.
I
Like it.
Well, all right. I'm gonna just so you can understand what they actually taste like. If a white-tailed deer ate fish every single day, that's what it would taste like.
That's a good way to put it.
Okay.
They smell. They're not good eating at all.
Oh, really?
Nothing
Okay, so I
good
thought you were
about
being
them at all.
sarcastic.
No. They taste like shit. They're like the worst tasting thing
Yeah,
you'll
see here,
ever
I'm
eat in your
thinking you're
life.
sitting here like, oh no, they taste like shit. You wouldn't like them. Like I thought that was like
Oh,
sarcasm,
yeah.
but no, you're like they actually
Oh,
taste like shit.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you want, I'll send them all to you, bro. I'll send you bags of them. But you're not gonna want them. What we do with them is we make sausage and kielbasa to kind of cover it up
Oh hell
as
yeah,
best as we can.
that's what we do with bear.
Or yeah, it's the same thing. Shitty meat. What do? You just add a bunch of spices and fat to it. It's gonna taste good, right?
Yeah, you throw some
A couple of
kielbasa,
beers over the
do some
campfire.
smoker. Yeah, and you serve it to people when they're
Yep.
drunk. It's gonna be
There
the
you
best
go.
food they ever ate.
Yep, exactly.
Or we actually deep fry them and make dog treats out of them. They're just not a good eating duck at all. They just eat fish and crustaceans.
Yeah,
and
I
they
guess-
just taste like shit.
I guess that makes sense because I mean, like we got a lot like mallards and stuff down here, and they're delicious. But-
Would you eat a merganser?
A what?
Do you have
That's like that.
mergansers?
Yeah, that's like them long, like they got the real long beaks, real small, and like right.
Yeah, the yard darts.
Yeah, we've seen them. They got them in the pond once in a while.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't.
They taste like crap, man.
Be like
They
eating a
taste
blue
fish.
heron.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like eating a blue heron. They're just not a good eating.
Those
stuff.
things are
but they're just
pesky
fun
bastards.
wing shoot and they're fun to catch. I mean, fun to kill.
Yeah.
Yeah, fun to catch, huh?
Yeah, fun to catch, but no, sea duck hunt's fun, man. You sit in the boat with the boys and just shoot them up. It's a blast.
It does
Actually, I
sound
got
like
some
a
videos
blast.
on YouTube, man. You could definitely check them out. They're pretty badass videos.
That's one I wanted.
About
Another,
shooting some
another
stuff.
thing I wanted to talk to you guys about was you mentioned that like you got videos on YouTube and stuff. So like, do you guys film yourselves or like how do you guys produce in videos and stuff?
Yeah, man, we 100% self-filmed. I try to carry a camera with me as much as I possibly can, but I'm horrible at it.
Yes, you are.
I mean, I bring a camera everywhere I go, but I just get so indulged with what I'm doing, I forget to press the record button. So I do have a couple of videos on YouTube. We have a bunch on the Outdoor Drive podcast, YouTube, and then I have some on my personal that I'm in the process of moving them over to the Outdoor Drive so everyone can see them there.
Gotcha. We just started trying. Well, we've been like self-filming for a long time with like GoPros and shitty cell phones. This year we decided we really wanted to try to videotape some more. But dude, it adds a whole nother level of like killing deer as hard as it is on the East Coast. And like now I got to worry about a camera in the tree. So, I mean, it's going to be fun because like for me, the reason like I always brought like a GoPro or something is like you come back from camp and you see, you know, like the craziest shit in the tree. And nobody wants to believe you. But, like, if you've got the film, you could be like, here, check it out. Like, it's right here. That was kind of my
Yep.
drive to, like, why I wanted to
And
start
that's
recording.
The thing. And so I do all the production work, and so I do IT as a regular job. That's how I do my 9 to 5. And
Oh, okay, I didn't
technology
know that.
and me just kind of, we get along. But when you get into self-filming or filming in general, cinematography, photography, whatever it may be, taking the picture, taking the video, that's the easy part. It's when you get into editing and post-production and adding in effects and doing sound treatment and all the stuff like that, that's where shit gets a little bit crazy. And the more you do, the better you get. But you'll never get there unless you do it. And I'll tell you right now, you're going to suck at the beginning. It's going to be horrible. And you'll look back 10 years and you'll go, what the hell was I thinking? That is horrible. But every time you produce something and you put it out there, you'll get a little better. And so for anyone out there wanting to self-film or getting involved and doing all this, learn the production end of it, because that is where it's make or break. And every video you make is going to suck a little less than the last one.
That's a great way to put it.
Really preach that. I mean, you can't do it unless you hit record.
And my thing is, so I mean, having Stephen on, working with Stephen, it's the best mix. I go out there, I kill shit, and I send him the video, and then I don't have to deal with it. It's the greatest thing in the world. Like, that's it. Here you go, Steve. But the thing is, like, Stephen's nasty at what he does, man. He's very good with the technology. He's very good with the editing. It's absolutely next to none. I mean, we had our turkey video. We didn't kill shit, and it's the most intense hunting video you've ever seen in your life. And we didn't kill a thing. It's what's that?
Well, does Steven do like your guys' like cover art and stuff for your episodes too? Because like I always like
Yes,
those things
sir.
look clean as hell.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
I
Like
do the cover art. I do all the YouTube editing, all the stuff for our online videos, for the video casts. And that's really the thing is you start learning software and how to edit stuff and just get it put together in a way that it's aesthetically pleasing. And trust me, I was not great at this from the beginning. If you saw the stuff I did 5 years ago, you would look at me and laugh.
that's probably
But
still
that's
above
the
where
thing.
we're at now.
You just have to get in there and do it.
Mm-hmm.
And every time you do it, you're going to get that much better.
And my thing with like self-filming, right? And I'm horrible at it, man. Like if I did, there'd be 1,000,001 videos. I could film every day of my life and make a YouTube video on it. But pressing record is the hardest thing for me. But
Yep.
you need to have in your mind that you need to set that goal that you're in the woods to get the hunting. You need either to make A or B, right? So A is I'm going in there and I'm filming this hunt no matter what it takes. Whether I'm not able to shoot this animal or not, I want it to be on film, period. Or you need to go in there and say, screw the camera, I'm going in there to kill this deer, period. Because if you go in there and say, well, if I get it, maybe I don't, you're not going to do it. It's not going to happen. And it's do what I say, not what I do, because I'm horrible at all of this. But
Yeah,
I know
I mean-
what it takes to make that happen.
It sounds like, Trevor, I'm right there with you on it because I can't commit to like letting a buck walk if the shots if when I say shot, I mean like the camera angle isn't right. Like I'm flinging an arrow if I get an opportunity, whether the camera's on or not.
Right.
But
100%.
I've only got one shot on camera, self-filmed, and it's like horrible quality off of like a GoPro.
Right.
But like it's there.
And-
But this year
So
we're.
one thing.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, what I was gonna wrap up with my brother Luke. He's really big into fishing, and I'm really big into hunting. So like we've kind of used filming to like almost bring us together on stuff we wouldn't typically do. So like this year I went fishing with him a lot just to carry a camera. So like we're not really necessarily self-filming everything this season. Like there's still going to be that aspect of self-filming because I mean he did all of his Alaska stuff. He brought his camera and did it all on his own. But like I'd sit in the water and film him for hours while he's fishing, and he's going to do the same because he doesn't deer hunt at all. So he's going to climb trees with me, and we're going to see what happens. I mean he can't stop moving. Like when he walleye fishes hard, and he runs 8 rods off his boat, and like he's just constantly moving. He's got the boat in autopilot, and I'm going to ask him to sit in a tree for 6 hours without moving. So we'll see how it goes, but.
Yep. No, and I 100% agree with the way you go about it. And if there's anything I can tell you guys or anyone else when it comes to self-filming, there's a ratio you have to keep in mind. And this is where a lot of people fail, is if you get 3 times the amount of B-roll as you do A-roll, then you'll be all right for a video. Because if I only have 20 seconds of that deer coming in and me getting the shot and the deer running off, then I've still got 5 minutes of video of us walking in, of the birds flying in the limbs and hanging out and just cool shots, that it's really easy to put voiceovers and kind of fill out and make an entire video of that hunt. But most people don't take the B-roll. They go, there's a deer, hit record, the deer came in, shoot it, deer's out of frame, turn it off. Guess what? You got 20 seconds of video.
Well, that's what everybody wants to see anyway. So what does it matter?
I like
Because-
to build up with the stories too, like you said with that turkey hunt that you didn't kill anything. Like it's. So I guess Stephen, I got to ask you, like, do you your B-roll? Do you film that before, like while the hunt's still in progress and you haven't killed anything, or is that something you go back and do after the kill?
So all the B-roll I take, and this is just me and my way of doing it, the only B-roll I will take is during the hunt as it's happening. I will not, hey, you got a kill shot, now let's go back and take a video of you putting on the release and you doing this. I 100% disagree with it because it does not tell the true story.
I got a lot of respect for you from that, because that's big. I like that, you know, you keep true to the story of the actual hunt. I like that.
Yeah. If I miss the shot, I will put in there in text that in the past, you know, during X and Y, I missed Z, and I'll put it in there. I missed this shot, but this is what happened, and this is where we are now.
And that's. Oops.
I was going to say, I think that relates to, you know, 99% of the hunters out there. Like, shit happens that you weren't expecting. Like, I forgot to hit record, you know, whatever. Like, people that are out there hunting as well understand that, and it probably adds to the story.
That's what happened with our turkey hunt. So we literally, dude, like the organic side of it is that we went in there in the mindset that we were going to kill turkeys on film, period, no matter what.
And it was the lack of turkeys. Turkeys were there.
No, turkeys were there. Turkeys were in the shot, but they either wasn't on the camera, or they were on the camera and couldn't get the shot, or couldn't get the shot, but they were on camera. And we literally went in there with the mindset of doing so. And going back to the whole B-roll thing, it's a pain in the ass, man. When you get in the car, you want to talk about what's going on. Then you get in your tree, setting up, getting down. I mean, it's a pain in the ass to be playing it. But I do it every single hunt, whether I get something or I don't get something. I literally, when I wake up in the morning and I'm packing the car, I'm running film. When I get up, this is a new thing. Don't get this wrong. This is all new to me. So this year, been setting up, putting on the camera, getting in the tree, putting on the camera, talking to the camera. It sucks. It definitely sucks. But when I send it off to Stephen, when something actually happens, it's all there, and it's all 100% what happened, and it as the story lies.
Exactly.
No, that's.
And I would rather have 30 minutes of random film of you getting dressed, you outside the car in the pitch black, you know, breath coming out of your mouth, you know, stuff that I can make cinematic to tell that story that you were out there freezing your ass off in the dark and went out and climbed up this tree and you were bored out of your mind for 6 hours, and then all of a sudden for 10 seconds this deer came through and you got a shot, or you didn't get a shot.
Mm-hmm.
And then you show me that, oh, okay, here's the results. Either I didn't get it or I got it. Here's the blood trail, or here's what I learned from it. I can take either of those, whether it's a success or not, and tell that story in a way that makes sense.
I think honestly that I think it's better that way 100%, because now with everything going on in the industry, right, and everybody's now, the whole thing is like hot in public, man. They really put that whole vibe back into it about the whole reel of it, with real local dudes going out and killing 100-inch deer on public land. Like, how badass is that, right? And that's what everybody wants to see on YouTube, and everybody wants to see on video now. They want to see the kids with the Mitch Max camo shooting does. Like, that's what they want to see. So,
Walmart Warriors.
That's it, man. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, I love that the like hunting video side of the industry has made that turn, because like growing up as a little kid and stuff, watching like Buckmasters and stuff, like, I mean, it's awesome to watch. Like, I mean, nobody's going to tell you that watching a 180-inch deer hit the ground in the woods isn't badass, but it's not something that I can realistically relate to in Pennsylvania. So like watching the videos, like sounds like that you guys produce, and like, you know, the hunting public and there's tons of them out there. I love finding like the underground videos of like guys that like there's no sponsors and stuff. Like that's like my favorite. Like guys that are just like they're doing it just because they like to, and they put it on YouTube because maybe it was taking up too much space on their phone or something. Like whatever. Like those are the guys that I feel like are like the best videos to watch because it's relatable to me. Like they get so stoked out of killing, you know, like you said, 100-inch buck because like that's what I'm killing here, you know, and it's so much more relatable. It just gets me stoked for the season.
Right, and that's what it's about is trying to start showing everybody in the industry, everybody trying to get involved, just becoming hunters, is that, yeah, you may wake up and on the big network shows see people out there, you know, Taylor Drury killing 200-inch deer on their private farm. But that's not reality for 99% of us. You know, we're out there, hey, it's a basket rack, it's an 8-point. I don't care what the score is, that's legal. I'm shooting it. That's a real hunt.
Yeah, and you're
That's what we're
shaking
trying
like
to get
crazy in the
everyone
tree
to connect
still.
to. Oh, exactly. You know, a 120-inch buck walks by me. I'm fighting that buck fever like you see people on TV hunting a 200-inch deer because that's a big deer to us on the East Coast.
I'm trying to shoot button does. I don't know where you're getting 100 and something
Oh,
inch
boy.
whitetails, bub.
2-year-olds, is that what you
There it
said?
is.
2-year-old button does?
That's what I said.
2-year-olds only.
Yeah. I don't know if Tom's filled in. I don't think Tom understands
I have
that
no
inside
idea what a
joke.
button doe is.
I'll let Trev let you know what the 2-year-old button does. They're shirts now, aren't they?
Yeah, we got shirts out. We got some more shirts coming out. We just came up with a new idea for another badass.
I can't
t-shirt,
wait
but,
for it because, dude, I love what you guys are doing for that. Like, but fill Tom in here if you don't mind on the 2-year-old
So-
button does.
So two-year-old button does. So my old acquaintance, I guess we call him, old host on East Coast Boning Podcast. He actually
It's
he had
D-Rock.
shot a
You know who.
buck. Yeah,
just-
D-Rock. He shot a button buck, and to justify it, instead of saying that he shot a button buck, he actually said he was like, "Oh, it's a button doe. It didn't have any nuts, and it's a 2.5-year-old." And we're like, "No, bro, it's a fucking 1-year-old button buck. It is not." But he literally, man, hashtag fucking 2-year-old button doe. Like, he went on with it. I think he called National Geographic. I'm not really sure. Like, he made this huge fucking
And
ordeal.
he thought people were
over
buying
this.
this shit?
Oh, he thought people were buying it. Oh, yeah, there was all kinds of. I mean, dude, we can go on for hours. You don't have enough
Dude,
time
it's
in the
so
day.
bad. Like, the shit that came out, like, especially like the podcast you did with Kirk Geyer, like laid
Yep.
everything out so freaking good. Just like, cause like I'd been following along, cause like I listened to East Coast like for a while, and like I noticed one day like it wasn't in my subscriptions on Apple Podcasts, and I was like, well, what the hell just happened? So then I'm like, well, all right, well, I jump over to Instagram and it's like gone, and then it's like Facebook, it's gone. So like I started like trying to figure out what was going on, and it like, I mean, obviously it came to light pretty quick,
Right.
but the 2-year-old button doe thing like really got me because like it was just hilarious.
That's like Fabio, too, was this imaginary
God.
giant deer that he couldn't find. So we literally put on the back, we said, "Where's Fabio?" in question mark. And the shirt is in penitentiary orange.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because he's going to prison. So
That's great news.
yeah. So that's whatever, man. Send it.
Yeah, well, just for Tom's sake, Fabio was this buck he was talking about for too long about how like, you know, I think the one episode he was talking about how he was, you know, like within 60 yards of Fabio and he didn't know he was there, and like was watching where he was bedding and all this stuff. And it's like, to me, it's like, okay, if you actually have a deer at 60 yards and you know where he beds, like it should have been dead already. You know,
Right.
like
Exactly.
like he
One
had,
more-
according to him, he had every piece of the puzzle except it being dead. So like it kind of proved that like this deer didn't exist.
That deer had to have been 9 years old, bro. Are you kidding me? I
So,
mean, like,
does it go
he's been
longer
chasing that
than-
thing forever.
Does it go longer than like the podcast itself? Like, I mean, did you know him before you guys started a podcast?
No, so where it had actually originated was I used to be part owner of ctbowhunting.com, which was an online forum back in the days of the online forums.
Okay,
and
I remember
I
this
was at a
now.
hunting show, and I had met him at a hunting show. He came up to me, he's like, bro, you need a podcast. And I'm like, listen, you long-haired, Rolex-wearing motherfucker, who the hell are you, and where did you come from, and what the fuck is a podcast? That's what I want to know. And so one thing led to another, and I was like, well, if I'm going to have a podcast, then you should obviously be part of it because you know what it is. But he was trying to make it so that he was going to help me out and help me connect to some people and whatever else. But I wasn't going to do it without him. And then, yeah, push comes to shove. Look at me, fool. But it is what it is, man. Look where we're at.
But between the two of us, we're now on 3 different podcasts, and
Yeah.
all been pretty well successful.
Yeah, because Stephen is actually he's from the podcast world too. He had a podcast before being on the Outdoor Drive also.
Okay. Well,
And it was a very similar situation. My co-host on that show pretty much played the same line. I'm a new hunter. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to pretend that I'm a Drury and I'm killing 500-inch deer. And when we started calling bullshit, where I just basically said that's enough of that shit, and that's what led me and Trev to getting together again, going back to his story, into saying, all right, you know what you're doing, and I've got a little bit of experience, and let's do our thing.
that's crazy that you guys had like almost like kind of similar backgrounds like in the podcast world, and it like brought you guys together, which is pretty neat. Like I never understood why people lied about like what they know or don't know, whether it's on a podcast or like sitting at at the table after everybody's been hunting up a deer camp or something. Like if you don't know, you don't know. Like I never understood why people like want to fake that they know shit. I don't know, it just didn't make sense.
I think a lot of it too is deer shaming.
Buck shaming is like one of my biggest pet peeves. Like, that's like the one thing that like gets under my skin so bad during deer season. Like you get this kid that's like 14 years old, first buck, and he has to put that little disclaimer at the bottom that it's not the biggest buck, but like I'm like, dude, it's your buck. You decided to kill it. Like own it, be happy about it. The backstrap's going to taste probably better than that big buck anyway. Like,
Yep.
I hate buck shaming.
It's kind of crazy. And so a good hunting partner, an old hunting partner of mine who I no longer associate with because of deer shaming and all this, and me and him had very different goals. He was kind of like that wannabe trophy hunter, but was a horrible trophy hunter. But he literally would talk down to people all the time and deer shame people constantly. How he did this better. He was literally at one point was trying to bring down the caliber of the deer in the state, saying that there's not that big of caliber deer when he was shooting like 100 inches. And whatever, man, like shoot whatever the hell you want to shoot. So yesterday or the day before, our season just started here September 15th. So I see him and he's on one of the hunting pages. Yeah, man. So I've been hunting hard for the past couple of days here.
What the hell?
So,
yeah, we're still waiting.
So do you guys get an opportunity to velvet buck?
So there's been a couple of them, dude. There was one that hit the ground the other day. It was 100 and something. It was over 130 inches with a drop tine full velvet.
That is awesome. That's like my dream is a full velvet buck.
This year, with the weather being the way that it was, these deer have held on to their velvet for a lot longer, and there is more velvet deer that have hit the ground here in Connecticut than there is anywhere else. Any other year. I'm sorry, not anywhere else. Any other year. But going back on that, so he was on one of the Facebook pages on the 14th and was saying, somebody had posted up a picture of a deer and was like, oh, would you shoot this deer? And he's like, well, if you wanted to shoot a 115-inch 3-year-old, then go ahead and do it. And then I get a screenshot of him, and he had shot like a 90-inch 8-pointer. And I was like, are you kidding me, bro? You were just shaming that guy because he was going to shoot a 115-inch 3-year-old, and you shot a 90-inch 2-year-old. Like,
Mature.
are you kidding me? Why? It's just stupid. Like, why? Who cares? And I get it, man. Like, you should, like you were saying, you should never shame somebody for what they take. If
it's legal, go
if they
for
got their
it.
rocks off, yeah, if they got their rocks off and they pulled that trigger, man, they obviously were happy with what they did, man. And you should be so proud of them, and you should be happier for them than they are for themselves of taking that deer, whether it's a spike horn, whether it's a fork horn. And like I say, man, the only way you're going to learn how to kill deer and be very good at killing deer is by killing deer.
Gotta
You
kill
should
deer, man.
fucking pile them up. Shoot as many deer as you possibly can, because the only way you're going to get good at it, how many guys that have 150, 160-inch deer from wall to ceiling to floor have a pile of antlers or skull caps in the corner of fork horns and four pointers and 6-pointers?
Well, that's
Every
exactly
single
right.
one of them.
I got
Every single one of them.
PA's got an antler restriction now, so you have like a 3-up on one side, but it, 30 years ago it wasn't like that. And my grandpa's one of the big guys that me and Tom both look up to when it comes to hunting. My grandpa was fortunate enough to be able to travel the country, and he's hunted pretty much all big game in North America. But I've got pictures of him, from, before I was even born, like back in the 70s, holding like these, like what somebody would consider a small buck, and he's grinning just as happy as when he's holding a trophy mule deer. Like his facial expressions don't change. Like, and that's what was, that's always hit me really hard, was just the fact that to him, it didn't matter what size animal he killed, like whether it was an elk or a sheep or a whitetail, or he was, or a rabbit. Like he was just as happy just to be out there doing it. And like I've always, stuck to that. And just always really liked it.
And I'm a big believer in the way I've always looked at it is, I don't kill giant deer. I'll never be a Clint Casper or something like that.
That
But
dude straight
at the
kills.
End of the day, when I shoot something, I know damn good and well I am going to appreciate how much food I get off of that.
Mm-hmm.
I could care less about the bone at the end of the day. It's great. It's a good way to measure it, but I'm more proud of how much food I have to eat than I do how much bone is on that head.
Yeah, and sharing that meat with everybody too. Like one of my favorite things is, doing tenderloins and heart out of a deer that night. It never even hits the ice. And
Yep,
nobody
exactly.
cares about the size of the rack when it's sitting in the stew. It's just everybody's
Right.
happy, and beer tastes just the same whether it was a doe or a buck or a monster.
And that's the thing is, especially in these days and age, you're looking at people in the inner city who can't get their hands on meat because of the meat shortages at the beef factories. And we're sitting here with a freezer full of deer meat having steaks every night. And the people that used to call us crazy for killing deer and calling us inhumane and murderers and whatever, they're all wishing they had steaks. Guess what? We got them.
That's a good point.
And I'm going to get more.
Yeah, exactly. It's early in the season.
Rub it in.
Yeah.
Rub it in. I got 2 weeks.
Yeah, we start up, New York starts October 1st, and PA starts, I think, like October 3rd.
Yeah.
So we still got a couple
Yeah,
weeks.
2 days the same as Virginia.
Yeah. So we'll probably, in PA, we got 3 days, or 3 Sundays throughout all of.
Sundays.
Yeah.
Big celebration right there. I'm proud of that.
I mean, I'm happy that we're moving in that direction. But man, like, get with the times. Everybody else is hunting every Sunday. Like,
False.
are you guys? Who else is
Had
stuck
this
in?
conversation last week.
Okay,
Sounds
so
like
we-
Connecticut's not hunting Sundays either.
No, we're well. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I strongly take that back. We are hunting on Sundays, but it's bow only on private land.
what the hell is
Which is
that?
still better than PA.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing I've always said was like that PA like or private land regardless. Like nobody should tell you that you can't hunt a certain day during the season on private land.
It's your land. You paid for it.
Yeah, and then even the game lands in PA are funded by license sales. So you know, you get the people that don't hunt. They're like, well, I like to walk my dogs and stuff. It's like, well, buy a hunting license and help fund this thing. But like everybody, like all this public land is like funded by license sales. Like,
I forget which state it is, but there is actually a state that's actually, I think they're trying it this year. Steven, maybe, do you remember this? There's actually a state that's, it is a law now. If you want to hike on the land, you need to get a permit. And you have to buy a permit to hike on the land. So you have to actually like a conservation stamp or whatever to actually hike on the land. And
I support that
in certain areas. I'm all about it, man.
So that's actually, I can't remember exactly where that is.
It was on the news for your cruise. I think Mike was talking about it.
Right. Mike was all over that. I know, like here in Virginia, you have to have a National Wild Boar permit in order to go in and do some of that stuff. To go in and hunt it, to go hike it, to go recreate in it, you have to have you got to have a Forest Service stamp.
I love it. I think that hikers or bird watchers should have to buy a migratory federal bird stamp also. If they want to take pictures of them, what's the difference in me killing them or them taking pictures of them? It's the same thing. I take pictures of them too.
Yep.
they're just dead on the tailgate.
I've got as much film of different birds sitting in trees or on water as I do pictures of them dead. Because, again, going back to that B-roll, I see a nice bird in a tree, I'm going to get some B-roll.
Yeah, you need it for the story.
There's no difference. Yeah, I've got to have my license and permission to film that bird in there while I'm hunting. Why don't they, if they're just coming out strictly to film it?
That's a good point, and I think I can get behind that. I mean, if they're going to use the same land we are, I mean, help fund it, you know, chip in a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, we're paying for it. What are they providing?
And they'll be the first ones to give us a hard time about
Yeah.
being in there hunting.
Yeah, they want to tell us that, you know, well, I need time to walk my dog or photograph without the hunters in there. I'm like, well, you're not paying for it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm sure we could go off for a while talking about that. 'Cause
That's a rabbit hole I don't think we want to go.
No, don't go down there.
No,
I start
especially-
talking about liberals.
yeah, I mean, especially
Don't
we're
go
an hour
there.
and a half in already, which crazy. I mean, we kind of went off on some tangents and stuff, but it's all good stuff, I think. But that's the way we run our podcast. You know, I hate the I don't know, like we have an outline, but that's more just to like prepare somebody. I don't like to the scripted feel just like it's not natural, and I don't know, not anything I was ever a fan of when listening to podcasts.
That's how I roll. That's how we roll.
And that's why I liked your guys'
No
podcast
outline,
so
no
much, as I
nothing.
felt
Just
it was good shit.
let it happen as it's going to happen.
Just have a full conversation. We've gone on some crazy tangents about shit that doesn't have anything to do with what we were even talking about. It didn't even have anything to do with hunting. I mean, you get me talking about liberals, dude, and it's over, bro. It's
Oh,
like
yeah,
that. Just don't go there. Just don't go there.
It's so easy to get caught off guard.
It's crazy.
But like with the podcast and stuff, like I know you guys got like a lot more experience with us, and even with like the little bit of audio trouble and stuff we had. I did want to pick your guys' brains a little bit while we got you here, just about like
For sure.
your guys' like experience with running podcasts, like some of like the challenges you guys have come into, and like what you guys do to stay motivated and help with, you know, like coming up with different episodes and everything. Because like I know one thing, we don't have anything preloaded, and like what I mean by that is like since the second week of January this year, we have recorded every single week. We have no bank of episodes. Like we have not missed a single week yet, and we record every single week. We have nothing saved up for hunting season, and we're just like it's a crazy grind that I don't think any of us realized was coming when we decided like to like put on Instagram, hey, we're gonna start a podcast, and we're just like too stubborn to miss a week basically. So I just wanted to like kind of pick your guys' brain a little bit about like what you guys do to stay motivated and keep getting, like you guys are hitting killer guests already. Like so you guys had John Eberhard on there, like it was an awesome episode.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. It's just, it's one of those things that the best thing you can do is stay consistent, man. You have to be consistent, period, no matter what. Whether it comes out on Monday or it comes out on Tuesday or it comes out on Wednesday. I mean, those people are always waiting for it. And the drive for us, honestly, is the supporters, man, and just being there for them. You at first, you're like, nobody wants to hear what I got to say. But then you start to realize how many people there is out there that want to hear what you got to say. And we do it for the supporters, man, and the people that are around us. And we call it the power of the podcast, bro. The people that we meet every single day, the people that reach out to us, the people that talk to us every single day. Some of my best friends and the people that I associate with, like Stephen, he's a brother to me, man. And I met him through podcasting. It's a whole different realm. It's changed my life. It's changed the way I think. It's changed the way I speak. It changes the way that I just run my life, man. It's all about the podcast. It's a lifestyle, and you just have to stay on that grind and just do it. Right. Getting different guests and talking to different people. We don't have any in the bank neither. I'll be honest.
That's refreshing to hear because I feel like I said, we had no mentors. I know nobody personally that's ever done a podcast. We literally just we've invested all of our own money in it. We have no sponsors. We don't make a penny off of this. We do it strictly because we like to do it. And it basically for us, we found ourselves talking about hunting and fishing and trapping all the time. And it was let's just hit record and, see if people are interested. Mm-hmm. And then it was we realized that an interface costs a lot of money, and 4 mics cost a ton of money, and editing software, and all of a sudden now we're 4 broke kids that aren't making any money back, but we keep coming to it every week. And just when I feel like I'm losing my motivation, I get a comment on YouTube from some dude in Iowa or something hey, I just found your podcast, absolutely love what you guys are doing. And it seems like it happens at just the right time. Like you said, the power of the podcast, where I'm struggling to get motivated to come up with an idea or something. And then, it could be somebody I'm at a bar in my hometown, and, I wear my white cat hat everywhere I go. That's I promote myself that way. I throw my white cat hat on everywhere I go, whether I'm at work, the bar, anywhere. And somebody's like, oh, what's white cat? And I tell them a little bit about it, because I don't push it on people either. But if they ask about it, I'm going to start talking, and it's that's pretty cool in that aspect. But yeah, I just it's refreshing for me to hear that you guys are the same way when it comes to there's nothing in the bank for you guys. You keep firing from the hip every week. That's really refreshing to hear.
And it's go ahead, Steve.
I was just going to say that in the reality of it is, we're right there with you, and we're record it and publish it every week. Mm-hmm. We don't have anything in the bank, and hunting season, we've looked at it negatively in the past, we're going to have a hard time getting people on because they're hunting and this and that. But at the end of the day, we're going to have people that are going to have success in the field and be able to get them on. And even if it's a 30-minute episode, and they can tell us about their situation, what they learned, what they did, what they experienced, a 30-minute episode of that is better than an hour-and-a-half conversation of strict bullshit, trying to figure something out.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
At the end of the day, really a lot of people that we've really gotten close to is, they'll refer to podcasting, it's a grind. It's a grind. You've got to stick with the grind. And the way we've come to look at it is, it's not a grind. It's reality. It's a lifestyle. Mm-hmm. You choose to do it, and that's what you do. We enjoy doing what everyone refers to as the grind because we have fun doing it. Whereas, you may run into people that are struggling, and they look at it as this is hard. It's tough. To us, it's fun.
Yeah, and you'll see a lot of podcasts that literally just go 15 episodes and then disappear because they can't handle it. And literally, like Stephen said, man, it is our life. We revolve our vacations around it. We revolve our lives around it. Our wives revolve around the podcast.
They won't admit it, but they do.
They do. You talk about a couple of broke kids, man. I spent my summer salary on buying equipment for the podcast. Brand new computers, bro. 2 brand new computers, mixer boards, microphones. We have 8 microphones. I literally just renovated my entire basement just to have a studio. We're in the process of getting headsets to be completely 100% mobile. And we don't make a penny. There is nobody that pays us a penny to do this. It all comes from our heart, and it all comes from our pocket. And it's expensive, man. It's not cheap, and it's not easy. But you know what? And for me, what drives me to do it 100% is
Trev, real quick. You're outdoors.
It's honestly if there's one person, I don't care who it is, man. If I save one person and get them in the outdoors, or I influence one person to do one thing because they saw it on our podcast or our YouTube, man, it makes it all worth every single penny, man. I don't know how many people. Where this all started for me, and it really touched home, and it really changed my life, was I was walking through Harrisburg show. This is when I was with East Coast. Walking through Harrisburg, and a kid walked up to me and he said, "Yo, you're East Coast Trev." And my response would normally be, "Who the fuck are you?" But it wasn't. It was, "Yeah, that's me." "Well, how do you know who I am?" And he's like, "You're Trev from East Coast Bowhunting Podcast." And for me, man, when that 16-year-old kid said that to me, it totally changed me. Totally changed everything of why I do this.
No, that's really cool. Like it's like I said, refreshing to hear that you guys are like I said, the unpaid. Like, and I don't have any problem with podcasts that are sponsored. It's just for us, like, we're not at that point, and I don't know that we ever will be. Like, it's not really necessarily like in our sights to be like this paid thing. Like, it's kind of nice to not have to, like, we don't have to answer to anybody. We can do whatever the heck we want.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But I remember, like, when we first got started and learning the whole podcast world, basically, I remember we recorded like an hour-and-a-half episode, and I do all of our own editing for the podcast, and I somehow deleted the entire thing. I deleted the backup file, everything. And that was on, I think, like a Thursday night or a Friday night. I think it was Thursday night. And we release every day or every week, Sunday morning at 5 a.m. And yeah, I'm the idiot that decided that. I don't know, like, I have no idea why I decided Sunday at 5 a.m., but that was like, for whatever reason, that's what I picked. So like Thursday night, I'm editing the podcast for Sunday, and I delete the whole thing. Frank's already down in Harrisburg, working a booth for an outfitter for Alaska, and I'm like, dude, it was like episode 6. I'm like, dude, there's no way we're missing a week. Like, we can't do this at episode 6. Like, we'll lose all of our credibility. And like I said, at that point, we probably had like 3 people listening, and like 2 of them were my parents. But like, I still was like, we have to do this. So I drove from Erie to Harrisburg Saturday morning. I stayed with Frank at the booth all day till like 9 o'clock when they shut down. Went back to his hotel, recorded a podcast with some other outfitters in Alaska, and edited the podcast by like 2:30 in the morning so I could have it uploaded Sunday morning at 5 a.m. and then drove home. Like, it was like, and it was all because I like really loved the podcast and didn't want to like let any, like, even like I said, there was like nobody listening, and I just didn't want to let anybody down that early on even. You guys still there? Hello? Oh, really?
Wonder how much of that you weren't talking.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering now too.
Calling him?
You there?
Hey, we lost you somehow?
Yeah, we lost. All right, I got Steve back. Yeah, we lost you there for a second. You were talking about, let me see here.
I know I was kind of going off on a story about Harrisburg. I don't know how.
You had just got to Harrisburg. He was at the Outfitters, and you weren't going to settle for not having an episode.
Yeah, so I stayed with him. Like I walked around Harrisburg and sat at his booth all day, and then we went back to a hotel Saturday night, recorded a podcast. By the time I got everything edited, it was like right around 2 a.m., 2:30. Got it uploaded, so it was ready for 5 a.m. on Sunday. And then I drove back from Harrisburg, which is like a 5.5 hour drive. Like, and like the reason I did it, like I said, like nobody was listening, but I just we loved doing the podcast so much where I just didn't want to. Like episode 6, we didn't want to be that podcast that, like you said, goes 15 episodes and dies out. You know, like I figured we can't have this happen this early on.
Right. Absolutely.
So I get it.
It'll all come together, man. And you know what? It'll pay off because someone will go, episode 6, that was the most badass episode you ever did.
I hope so. It was a pretty rough episode. But I mean, like I said, it worked out. Like I said, we had 2 guys they've got like 20 years experience in the bush up in Alaska. So it was actually a really good episode. But I mean, it's been fun. Like I said, I enjoy every single week. And I love that we've stayed consistent. We haven't had a single week that we didn't produce, which has been awesome for us.
That's the most important thing, man. Consistency is the number one most important thing. When you don't have a podcast that week, then the supporters will go somewhere else, man. They won't have to come back to listen to you. So you'll definitely lose them if you're not consistent.
Yeah, that's what we're afraid of, basically.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this is, I was lucky. My mentor through this and really close friend is Kurt Geyer, King Kurt himself. He was the one that, that started me off and taught me everything that I know. I was just, if it wasn't for him, bro, I wouldn't know what I know. I would never have a podcast. I would never, no way, no how. And that's the dude that I had the chance to bounce off of when I was starting. That's who I talked to. That was the one I said, I still have it, dude. I still have the piece of paper. I was an envelope, and I wrote on the back of it when he told me what I needed to buy.
That's really cool that you had somebody to talk to about that. And Kurt's, I mean, if you're gonna have anybody to talk to you about doing a hunting podcast, it's Kurt. I mean, in my opinion, he's that. I started listening to Kurt a long time ago with the Working Class Bow Hunter. And I mean, like you said, if you're gonna have a mentor for podcasting, I would say he's the one to do it because their stuff's their podcast is amazing. Like, I mean, there's nothing I can't say anything bad about it.
No.
So that's awesome that you had him
they
to.
Definitely paved the road.
Yeah, it's awesome that you were able to go to him. Because I mean, we're sitting here with we had no idea what we were doing, and I still feel like I don't know what I'm doing. But each week it feels like I know a little bit more. So
you'll get it, man.
Like I said, going back just like filming, every time you hit record, you're going to get that much better.
Yeah, I hope so. Like I said, we're enjoying it. I appreciate you guys, joining us on our podcast because you guys have been doing it for a lot longer, and for you guys to take literally 2 hours out of your evening, which I know you guys are busy because it's been weeks we've been trying to plan this.
It gets crazy. This time of year, man, the transition between fishing and hunting and, like myself, my day starts at 2:30 in the morning, bro.
That's nuts.
So I'm up at 2:30, 3 o'clock every single morning, and then I don't get home till 8, 9 o'clock. So it's especially if I have double days. So, my weekends are the busiest, bro. I'll start tomorrow at 2:30 in the morning. I'll cut home 8, 9 o'clock. I'll be back up 2:30 in the morning. I have an hour drive each way. So things get kind of crazy and hectic, and I know it took a lot to kind of mingle it up. And then opening day, deer season started, and then so it kind of.
Yeah. No, and like I said, I really appreciate you guys doing that, and with you getting up
Thanks
that
for
early.
having us, man.
Yeah, like I said, it's been fun. But especially with you having to get up that early, we can move right along into what we call write it in pen. Something we started early on. We actually had a suggestion from one of our listeners that we made a joke about writing something in pen, referring to write it down so you don't want to forget this. So what we like to do is like have our guests give us like a write it in pen, something they want to leave our listeners with at this point of the episode at the end, whether it's something we talked about or not, whatever you guys want to leave our listeners with.
Definitely. Trev, you want to lead this or you want me to?
Go ahead, Steve. I'll follow up. I got something, so.
All right. So what I want to leave everyone with, and this has been a big thing in my life for a long time, is at the end of the day, no matter what your goals are, no matter what your plans are, one, you have to go for them, but two, you got to take care of yourself. If you're in a shitty job or you're in a situation that is dragging you down and you're putting more time and effort into that than you are yourself, you're hurting yourself. So when it comes to hunting season in particular, if you haven't taken care of yourself, you're not healthy, say you're drinking too much, you're smoking too much, whatever it may be, that's going to pay off in a negative way. So ultimately, you got to take care of yourself if you ever want to get to step 2.
So to piggyback on that, my thing is that I have a couple quotes, man. I live by quotes and theories. I mean, that's how I run my life. So my thing is everyone's responsible for their own destiny, and also the second one is shoot for the moon and shoot for the stars and land on the moon. And those two things are very powerful things. And if I could leave somebody with something, is that with the first one, everyone's responsible for your own destiny. Nobody's going to change anything unless it's you. So you need to go and make that move. And with that, aim for the stars and land on the moon, man. And that is, no matter what, you can change yourself and you can do whatever you want to do. If you're in that daily grind of work, don't be a sheep, man. Be a wolf and go out and change it and shoot for the stars and land on the moon. And I can't even speak fucking English right now. I'm like, I didn't know where to go. But no, just that, change your life, man. If you want to do something and you have a goal, man, just do it. Tomorrow's not always promised, and you're not always going to have that opportunity, and it might be too late, and you might not be able to do that. So go out and do that. Like, if you want to be in the outdoor industry, you want to be a podcaster, you want to be a filmer, you want to be a fucking ballet dancer, just go and do it. If you don't do it, then you'll never know if you can do it.
I appreciate that. That's both really good things that we can take in, and anybody that's listening to. I appreciate that. Fellas, before
I hope that's what you're asking.
Oh, no, that's exactly what it is. I mean,
okay.
Sometimes people give us like hunting advice. Sometimes it's like deeper shit like you guys just did. And I like, it's a good mix. I had a lot of fun on this podcast. But it's nice to kind of bring it back down and, hit something that's, everybody could benefit from.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, but before we sign everybody off here, like I do want to, let you guys, let everybody know where, the reason I wanted you guys on was because I enjoy your podcast, and I hope that, people that listen to us, if they haven't found you already, I want to give them an opportunity to see where you guys are at. So if you can kind of just let us know where we can find you guys, or our listeners can find you, that'd be great for us and them.
So you can just ask your Alexa, play Outdoor Drive podcast. No, just kidding.
No,
we actually just played it onto Amazon.
Did you guys have that? Did you guys sign into it? You did?
Yep.
We just did that as well, like 2 weeks ago. That was kind of neat. First person that I've heard somebody say that, so it was just kind of neat.
It was kind of so Stephen had texted me and he said, Alexa, play Outdoor Drive podcast. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And he's like, I just signed us up for Amazon. I'm like, oh, cool, man. That's fucking pretty badass. But no, so you can find us pretty much Facebook, Instagram. We do have a TikTok.
Trev has a TikTok.
I have a TikTok, but it's more of the outdoor drive stuff. YouTube, that's our big thing, man. If you guys can find us on YouTube, subscribe, like, share, so on and so forth. But you can find us on Apple, any major platform.
Yeah. All the
Is
big
the
ones.
Outdoor Drive podcast. You can find me on Instagram, East Coast Trev. You can find me on Facebook. It's Trevor Berwick, or we have an actual East Coast Trev page. How about you, Stephen?
I'm simple, so I don't play a lot of the social media game. I run a lot of the YouTube stuff for the Outdoor Drive podcast page, and on Instagram at Outdoor Drive Steve.
He's
Okay.
allergic to Facebook.
Too much time in combat, man. That drama is unhealthy.
But yeah, you can find us just about anywhere. We're in the process of building a website now, so it would be outdoordrivepodcast.com, but that's not up and running yet. So
Perfect. Well, I want to thank you guys again for joining us on here, especially
Yeah, thanks for being on the show, guys.
for especially 2
Thanks
hours.
for
And that's a
having us,
long
man.
one. But-
thanks for having us, man, and taking that time out and getting the message out there for us, man. We really appreciate it. It means the world to us.
All right, boys, I appreciate it. I'm sure we'll stay in touch and let us know how you guys are doing through deer season, especially while we can't get in the woods yet. So.
I feel your pain, brother.
Sorry about that.
All right, man. We'll talk to you guys later. Thanks again.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, if you stayed with us this long, thank you. This was a long podcast, but a very good podcast with the Outdoor Drive group, Stephen and Trevor. Good guys to talk to. We had a lot of fun with this one. Like you said, Trevor's already out there deer hunting. We're getting ready to start deer hunting. So whatever it is you guys are getting ready to do, make sure you're getting outside.